Light machine guns have received a major buff in the patch 1.4 public test server, making them the most powerful automatic weapons for PvE and PvP in the Division. So in this video I'm going to go over which LMG is now best for PvE and PvP, and which weapon talents are now best for LMGs. Now whether or not this info will change on the full release of patch 1.4, nobody knows, but if it does change I will update this video. If you didn't know, there are 4 categories of light machine gun in the Division: the M249s, M60s, RPKs, and the L86s. In patch 1.3 we discovered that the L86s were the best LMG for burst and sustained damage on this chart displaying damage over time. With the changes introduced in the PTS, here is where the L86s now stand. Now before you conclude that the L86s are still the best LMG, here is where the M249s sit. If you didn't see that coming, check out the M60s in this patch. Now as if the L86s couldn't take more of a beating here, the changes to the RPK means that the RPKs do more burst damage than the L86s now, making the L86s the worst LMG in the Division for sustained damage, and a close second behind the RPK for burst damage. Now that doesn't mean that you should deconstruct your perfectly rolled L86, they still hold their own in PvP and PvE. The main reason why I'm going to say that the RPK is better than the L86 for burst damage is because of weapon mod changes. The L86 has a mean amount of horizontal instability, and in patch 1.3 we could counter that with horizontal stability mods. But in 1.4, the amount of stability you can get on weapon mods has been significantly reduced, making the L86 as uncontrollable as Donald Trump's toupee on a windy day. For that reason, the RPK is in my opinion the best burst damage LMG in the Division, and therefore the best LMG for PvP. In fact, probably the best automatic weapon for PvP with the changes to the SMGs. Before you go out and find any old RPK, the black market RPK-74E is the only RPK that allows an underbarrel, and because underbarrels now have stats like improving a large amount of reload speed, it's a must-have if you want to make the most of your RPK. For PvE, and this is where LMGs really shine, choosing either an RPK or an M60 is a great choice. The RPK is great for bursting down a couple of enemies quickly, while the M60 is better for suppressing enemies, dealing with larger groups faster, and having 12 extra meters of optimal range. I'm personally going to go with the M60 for PvE in this patch for those reasons, and for the fact that it sounds like an unrelenting beast. For PvP I will certainly be using my RPK, as I do like my automatic weapons, and the talents I'll be going for are Brutal, which is still good after the 50% nerf, Responsive because it's been buffed up to 15% and most combat in PvP is close combat, and Competent, which now lasts 5 seconds longer in this patch. On my M60 for PvE I'm going to go with Destructive, which has been nerfed but it's still good, Ferocious, which has been buffed up to 15% so it's very good now, and finally Skilled, a seriously underestimated talent. Basically every 6 headshot kills you get your ult back. Combining this with Tactical Link makes for one of the best weapon talents in the game, but if you don't want Skilled you can always go with Brutal. Now I'm quite aware that this information may change on the full release of patch 1.4, but the PTS could last a month or so, and in that time I can imagine a lot of PC players will be trying the PTS out, so hopefully this information will be useful. With that said, I might create a similar video for marksman rifles depending on the support for this video, so if you enjoyed it please share it with your friends. Thank you for watching, and many thanks to the data miners that got the PTS weapon stats so quickly.